You're looking a little washed out. Sorry.
No, looks sick.
How about now?
Okay, actually stunning.
I just hope once the sun starts going down, you don't look like you're a shadow monster. You're looking dark now. I called it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Long Form Conversations, the podcast where we talk about long form improv. As always, I am your host, David. Before we introduce our guest today, I just want to say a couple of things. Thanks so much for everybody that's been like coming up to me and saying that they listen to the podcast. That always means so much. I really appreciate you letting me know that this is doing something. This is actually making some moves. But I will also say what would be immensely more helpful than telling me in person. One, it makes me nervous. I don't really know how to take compliments well. But two, don't tell me, tell other people, share it, and let your other classmates or teammates know about it. And rate, like, subscribe, all the different actions that you have. Do that because I think that's gonna be more helpful than telling me and then making me kind of awkwardly say, "Oh, thanks so much," and then walk away. All right, great. So got that out of the way. I want to go ahead and introduce our guest for today. This is someone that I've had the pleasure of being a fan of for quite some time. A very talented improviser and writer. Our guest today is Stephanie Burchinow.
Huh? I've never I've never heard someone start by like telling their fans to shut the fuck up.
I know. It's just been happening a lot recently. Not to brag, but
Okay, flex.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to take compliments.
Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah, well, I'm hypercritical of myself and I expect
Mm.
others to be critical as well. No, it's just it's like when people sing happy birthday to you.
Oh my god, the
What do you do?
worst. You kind of have to like sit there and like politely just like
Oh my
smile.
god, stop. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel you.
that's that feeling. And it's also for like I get it if it's at a show because I'm like, oh, thanks so much. You just saw this, whatever. But it's just like, oh, hey, this is like your
Yeah,
stupid internet podcast thing.
it's
So
not
it feels a little
stupid.
less. Well, thank you so much for saying that. But anyways,
So you took it great.
you're right. But I can't walk away like
I encourage I encourage all the listeners here today to go out and give David just immense props and let him know how much you love the podcast and make him work on his shit.
That's true. Yeah. You know what? Push me into the deep end. What is it called? Immersion
Yeah,
therapy.
immersion therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, your immersion therapy is you just getting like gassed up.
Have you ever done one of those classes? It could be an acting class, could be an improv class, but like at the end of the class, they're like, Stephanie, get in the middle circle. And the whole class surrounds you and they just say nice things about you.
Um yeah, I have. I don't think it wasn't like a circle thing, but I definitely have taken improv classes where we've like ended with that. And I love it.
Yeah, I don't hate that because everybody gets around.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. You know what? That if we're really getting down to the root of it,
Yeah,
I can't compliment them on their
because you
podcast.
can't, yeah, you can't say it right back. That is true. It's one thing to be like, oh, great site. Oh my god, loved yours too.
Yeah.
That's real.
So you are the third member of Shag I've had on now.
Fun.
Sorry you weren't first or second, but I
Okay.
would love to get all of you at some point.
Get 7 mics and have us all on together.
Oh my gosh, that's what we'll do
That
for
would
the
be
holiday.
editing hell for you.
No, I don't think it'd be too bad. I think I might just let y'all run wild and I honestly just do a little audio improv set.
That
That's
would be
easiest
really
for
fun,
me.
actually.
Yeah,
It's like
almost no
us
editing.
before like practices. It's like all 7 of us hanging out and then like Jake trying to get a word in edgewise to like get us to start practicing before like an hour in.
It takes you all an hour.
It takes us so long to get started because we're just chatting.
I think that's like hot take, and this isn't my official hot take, but like sometimes like that's all you need. You
Yeah.
know, if y'all can just get on the same page, same vibe, catch up with one another, I'm like, okay, that's our practice.
Yeah.
That way you don't come into like shows like, what'd you do this, past month?
Yeah. It's definitely nice to be able to like, whatever, keep up. I feel like if you're keeping up like the friendship or whatever, it kind of translates on stage anyway. But I do be liking rules. So I kind of do ultimately want to get a little practice going.
Sure. Yeah. Cause there's, you got a great conversation, but can you do a good scene? I saw your show last weekend. Right? Was
The
that last
Shag
weekend?
agenda show?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. Thanks for
Loved it.
coming.
Yeah. Whenever I get a chance, I'm glad y'all got more shows because I love
Yeah.
coming to that.
That's
10:30 though, I will
10:30
say.
is a brutal slot. Yeah, it's so much fun, but it is a tough slot. But because we're Sundays at 10:30, which is like everyone who has a 9 to 5 job is like just kicking their week off with like a horrible night's sleep. But
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah, and I will admit too, there was a point I was like, oh, there's a button coming. I should just leave now. Beat the rush out the door, and also I don't have to say hi or bye to everybody. I can just like go home and go to bed.
Did you?
No, I stayed for the button. It was worth it. But I did not stick around to say hi.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't recall seeing you.
But I guess I'm saying it now. Killer show. Everybody check that out if you haven't had a chance yet. Third Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best fun improv you'll see.
Yeah, it's fun. It's Shag agenda's like Shag is my team. It's like a group of all girls.
Yeah.
And then the agenda is an all queer team. So it's a very fun, like femme queer night.
Also, I'm probably gonna need comps because by the time this episode comes out, by the time your next show comes out, Lloyd's over, baby.
What do you mean you're gonna need? Oh, because you can't get in.
Can't get in for free anymore.
Gotcha. How do you
I'm
feel
not
about?
Gonna support the arts with my money.
How do you feel about Lloyd ending?
I feel like good about it. It's
Yeah.
like I think if it was like an open-ended thing, I'd feel like shit. But obviously,
Wait, if it was a what?
Like an open-ended thing, I'd feel really bad about it ending.
Oh, I see.
But because there was a definite,
you're not being cut. It's
date,
like
it's like a spring,
Mhm.
not spring. It's like a summer fling. I'm like, well, I gotta go back home now. School's gonna start. It'd be weird if but if I was like in love,
August
and I was like,
slipped away like a bottle of wine.
Yeah, but if it was like a long-term, serious thing, I would have been like, no, what's going on?
Yeah.
Can you move to the island, or I can get a job? I'll move to the city with you and your folks.
Yeah, that's cool. You guys had such a good run too.
Yeah, thanks so much. But yeah, I'm excited to see by the time this episode comes off, hopefully the next Lloyd teams will be announced.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be so exciting.
I assume so, right? It was quick last time.
I'd be shocked if they did it. I mean,
yeah, what do we know?
Auditions was 2 days ago. They should be calling any minute now.
We should
check our phones.
Tell Ollie to hit you up first.
Yeah, Ollie,
you published the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Everyone has to subscribe to find out who's on Lloyd night.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that scoop. Why
it's a Patreon episode.
Yeah, but yeah, that'll be exciting. We will hopefully have a couple of our friends, our peers on that list, and we'll be able to celebrate and check them out.
Yeah.
How's everything going with you and Keanu?
Good. I'm
7
really
months now, right? 7 month.
Is that right?
Run.
Yeah, since March. Yeah, it's been going really well. I think like it's interesting doing Harold's after like having doing such unstructured improv for so long. That it's been like fun and challenging for me to figure out how to like do what I do in like that specific context, because it is an interesting like set of parameters. I'm sure you've like dealt with the same thing on Lloyd, but no, it's so fun, and it's so like unbelievably nice just to like have a spot to perform in front of people not every week, but like every other week or so.
Is there anything else we need to catch up on? How was Shag's show on Friday?
It was fun. We actually
wasn't it Shag PBJ?
Yes, that's
CB
right.
Shag, PB Shag.
Yeah, we were pretty low on numbers, and so was PBJ. So we matched up with them, and it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Y'all
didn't want to go out to karaoke after?
I was too tired.
I missed the improv show, but I made it for karaoke.
Yeah, well, you have priorities.
I love karaoke.
How was the karaoke there? I've never been.
It's have you ever been? You haven't been to that restaurant before? First of all, food is good. Drinks are pretty cheap. So like for that alone, I think it's worth going. You don't have to sing. The stage is really small, and they play it off of YouTube.
That's fun.
You can play any song because there's a YouTube karaoke version of
like
everything. And it was great. The only thing was it was like so crowded, and like they couldn't rotate enough songs. So like some people got to sing a bunch because they put in their slips early. So I got there super late, put in my song, ate my whole dinner, waited, and it was like at that point maybe like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
1:30, and I was like, they're not gonna pick my song. Or by the time they pick my song,
Yeah, you have to like butter them up somehow.
a tip. Yeah, a tip. I forgot to bring my singles. That's on me.
Yeah.
So I'd left without singing.
I used to go to this, my friends, when I lived in Chicago, we would go to this, it was, I think it was a Chinese restaurant, and it was like, but it was this bizarre Chinese restaurant slash just true party spot where you would eat your dinner, and then also like the owners would come around with like bottles of vodka, and they would just pour shots and like bring shots to your table. And then also they had a karaoke mic, but there was no stage, but you would do karaoke, but they basically just pass the mic. So you would like sit at your table in front of your food, drinking vodka and like singing karaoke just like from your seat.
And it's hooked up to the sound system?
Yeah, it was incredible.
That does sound like a lot of fun. Have you seen those like at home karaoke?
Yeah, I have
mics?
one.
You have one?
I have one because I bought one for my sister got married, and they had a pandemic wedding because their wedding got canceled because it was supposed to be in like whatever April of 2020, and so their wedding got canceled, or I guess it was October, whatever, who cares? But it got canceled, and so then I helped plan for them to do like a small at home like pandemic wedding. And so I bought one of those karaoke mics. It was literally just my family. It was 6 people. All of us would like get up in front of everyone sitting on the couch, sing karaoke into our little microphone.
That sounds like
it was honestly very fun.
Yeah. And yeah, I only used it once, but those things pack a punch.
Yeah.
But I think what I love most about it is that it blows back to you. So you feel like you're crushing it, and even if no one can hear you, you're like, great.
Yeah, you're like, I sound amazing.
Yeah, karaoke's for you.
Don't know what they're talking about. Yeah,
it's not for everyone else. All right, great. Well, good catching up. I think
fabulous catching up.
Fabulous catching up. Got a comment on that. Hey, you're really good at catching up.
You're so good at catching up.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I love the reciprocation. We're gonna go ahead and jump into our first segment now, which is going to be Improvster Syndrome. So Stephanie, if you recall, this is your opportunity to tell us about your improv journey. I don't want you to leave anything out.
Great. Well, I started doing Chicago.
No, fine. But let's start before there. What made you want to do improv? You look like you got a little theater kid energy.
Oh, a little bit. I think that for me, I love performing. I've just always been kind of whatever, a little hammy kid, but I didn't really do big theater productions or anything. I definitely would do plays and stuff as a kid, but I was never like the lead in anything, but I would do them, but nothing truly that big. But I always just enjoyed it. I'm more just like have always been a big comedy fan, honestly. And then when I moved to Chicago after college, I didn't do any comedy or anything in college. I truly didn't know that it was actually like available to me as a thing to do.
Where'd you go to college?
Miami University in Ohio. Anyway, improv. I went to Chicago and I was working in advertising, and truly just as a way to make friends and have something to do after work, I started taking Second City writing classes because I still kind of didn't think the performance stuff was a thing that was accessible to me. And then it was through doing the writing.
Were you like a copywriter?
I was not a copywriter. I was a project manager.
Interesting. So why'd you want to take I'm guessing comedy writing or sketch writing?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Second City is it's sketch writing, but I just love. I've always been such a fan, and like I think it was the kind of thing that I always knew I probably could do, but I kind of needed permission to do it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I think I signed up for it thinking it'd be a fun hobby and a way to meet whatever fun people, which it totally was. But then also I was kind of hoping that it would be someone would tell me that I can pursue it. You know,
you're waiting for Megan Mullally to show up.
Yeah, exactly, and say you got it, kid. So anyway, I did the writing program in its entirety, and by the end of that, you do a lot of reading through stuff and whatever, little bits of improv here and there. And so it wasn't until after I finished all the writing stuff that I then went back and decided to do improv from level 1 also. So whatever.
How long were you in that community by the time you started taking 101 or improv 1 or whatever they call it?
I think the writing program takes maybe like a year or something. Okay. I don't really remember. But yeah, and so then once I started doing improv though, I was just constantly doing improv. So then I was doing like in Chicago, there's so many different schools you can do there. So I did like Second City and IO.
Tell me about the first Second Cities class though. What was it like? Y'all
Oh,
played
it
Zip Zap
was
Zop.
Zip Zap Zop of the Wazoo. It was all
My name
games.
is Standing Stephanie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Second City is short form focused too, especially in those like entry level things, because there's the beginner level stuff, and then there's the conservatory, which is like improvising towards a sketch show. So it's slightly more longer form, but the beginning level ones are pure short form, like games type stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of little exercises that I feel like you now do as like a warm up or something. Yeah.
And like you were always silly, or like what? Like was this like? Do you feel self conscious? Like, why are we doing this? Or were you like, fuck yeah?
I think I really leaned into it. I don't see a lot of value in like signing up to do something like that and then being judgmental while you're doing it. So I definitely think I leaned into it. I think maybe level 1 was hard to lean into because it's just so silly. But
and you're a serious project manager.
I'm a project manager, honey. Respect me. But I think because everyone else was, you know, young 20-year-old kids who thought this was just like heaven, we all had so much fun. I think I might have gotten lucky to just have a class that just really was like good friends, and then I like continued with them for all the levels of it too. So it was just so nice and so fun.
And then did you finish all the way through Second City, or did you jump around and you're like, you know what, now that I've tasted this, let me taste what IO's got?
I finished Second City. They're like beginning levels, and then I signed up for conservatory, which you have to like audition to get in and then audition again to stay in. So I went right from, I think, finishing that to conservatory, but then while I was doing conservatory, I simultaneously did IO.
Did you feel like you were good? Like at that point, you were like, I'm gonna audition and I'm gonna get in, or was it like, oh geez, they don't let everyone in? I don't know. I've only taken one series of classes.
It's so hard to say because I definitely think that I felt pretty confident that I was good. Not like that I was great or anything, but that I was like, I'm good at this, but whatever. Obviously, I have a million things to learn, but I wasn't worried about not being like funny or talented enough. I just, I think that auditions are so uniquely difficult that I definitely stressed about the audition. But I think that's a different muscle almost.
Yeah. I would also say it's really impacted in Chicago, right? Like there's so much improv there and there's so many people that want to do it.
Yeah. And I was performing all the time because it was just, I mean, there's just so many stages and so many shows, and like the indie scene is crazy. So you can just do so much that
at this point you are also like indie teams already and everything.
Yeah. We like my team was like, or the way that they do both of those schools. So did you do anything other? Did you just do UCB?
I did a Second City Conservatory online, but I didn't see it.
Interesting.
Through, it was through Zoom.
Yeah. That would be so hard. I'm curious about that. But the way that I did UCB out here also to like get part of the community and meet people. And it was very different because I think the classes are so much more expensive. And
how much are they in Chicago?
I think they were like 200 something.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I would have taken them all year round.
Totally. I did. Yeah. And so I think that it's set up so that you form a class and you stay with your class. Yeah. Whereas I think out here, in my experience, it felt very, you sign up for a class when it's convenient to your schedule and you kind of just like bop around throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so when I was doing it, it was very like you meet your crew in level 1 and you stick with them through level 6. So you're kind of encouraged, if you can afford to do it, you're encouraged to kind of like stay with your people because it's so much more fun and whatever.
And how big are these classes?
They're probably the same as out here. I don't 16? Really know. Yeah, something like that.
Because like I will say, because you definitely try to do it out here, you know, like you keep in contact.
Yeah.
But like that original 16 will dwindle down by 201 to like 16 to like 8.
Yeah, but they also rolled into each other where it'd be like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, and also if it was cheaper, I bet you have like, you can go from 16 to, maybe you lose like 3 or 4.
Absolutely. Yeah, but totally. For sure. And that happened all the time. So like, it wasn't weird, but you would have like your core of people. But it is the thing that made me like stick with, like, just see it all the way through. Yeah.
You guys started practicing outside of class and everything too.
Yeah. And then we would like, but it's less of a culture in Chicago to practice outside of classes than it is here.
You started booking?
Yeah, totally. Like you just do shows.
Cool.
And that's like your practice. So
You remember the name of that team?
oh my God, I've been on so many teams.
Okay, brag.
No, they're not good. They're just like my classes, you know, that like we were just in a class together. So then we were like, outside of class, we should practice, which is going and doing shows.
Yeah.
So I was on, oh my God, let me try to remember. I was on one called Hot Gravy. And then I was on a musical improv team called Ebola Skittles, which
Ooh.
then, and then I was on a team called, oh my God,
I
can't remember. There,
That's
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Lazy River Jesus was one. And I remember hating that name. Lazy River Jesus was a big one for me, actually. That was a fun one. And then I can't remember what my like other ones were, but I just like most of the time when I took classes, so like at Second City and at IO and in conservatory, like those groups would form.
So when you jump into that conservatory audition, you probably felt pretty good.
I mean, they do let in quite like you're gonna get it unless you're like not you shouldn't get in, you're gonna get in, you know. So I wasn't really, it would have been a matter of me like kind of tanking, and which was a real fear of mine because I don't think I audition well, but yeah, I think most of us who were like good improvisers were pretty sure unless we like really shat the bed, we were gonna get in. But you're always worried that you're gonna shit the bed or something. Conservatory's like, it's like hard to get into, but it's not that hard to get into, you know?
Yeah, my audition was very simple. Same thing with the Groundlings audition. I feel like it's just just listen and remember what they said.
Be like, make it clear that you know baseline what to do and we'll take your money, you know? So I wasn't worried about it, but not in a way because I'm like feel good about myself. It was truly just because I was like, it's not that hard to get in. Anyway, whatever. Sorry. Continuing my story. Improv.
Tell me about IO. Was there like a different vibe for the different schools where you're like, oh, that was Second City, but this is IO?
Kind of. I think that IO was a lot more relaxed. Second City's, I mean, is just a much more like buttoned up kind of theater because the final product is so much more polished. Because it's written like, there are Second City improv shows, but it's like either these like short form shows, which are also pretty polished because they're short form, or it's these really amazing like material shows where you're like written them and rehearsed them and done tech whatever. So it's just very different because you're expecting a different output, I think. But yeah, so I found that there's a lot of like overlap between the two, just as far as the people in them, just because everyone is kind of trying out both. And then there's like the Corn Servatory. There's all sorts of.
It's called the Corn.
There's one called the Corn Servatory, which is like this little black box theater.
They would have gotten my money for the pun alone.
I don't think. I don't think they. Maybe they did classes there. I don't know. We just used to do shows there, but
I would have given them my money anyways.
Take my money. They're like, we're not selling anything.
Do you have a Venmo?
Yeah, please. But yeah, IO, I really loved IO. That's where I like learned how to do Heralds, and I really liked the way they taught you too. Like they started, I can't remember what the first level is, but like it's like second level, like it's all about relationships at IO and like rooting things and like how you and your scene partner feel towards each other. So it's much more about like playing moment to moment and like connecting with the other person, whereas other places are much more about like you as a character. What is your character? Like it's more individual. And I think IO like helped me really like loosen up in a way that was helpful for me to bring then to like Second City too, because I think like when they I know we're gonna talk about like group games and stuff later, but like they did classes there about like they a whole class that was just about like kind of group games. So it's just like shit that really just like shook it loose for me.
More concentration.
Yeah. And then I liked the way that they end it too. So it's like there's 5 levels of classes and then there's a 5B, which is where you do shows. So you go through all 5 levels. Do you already know this, by the way? Okay.
Not IO. I only know Second City.
Yeah. So you go through like levels 1 through 5. And they're all whatever, have different like points to them. And then level 5, you're learning the Herald as a form. So before that, you're learning like scene work type skills. And then level 5, you're learning different forms. Or no, sorry, what maybe level 4 you're learning forms. Level 5 you're learning the Herald, but the guy who taught it, the way that he would do it is that like your group makes up their own Herald, because it's like we learn how to do a Herald, but then we make it our own. Like they were really about kind of like keeping it into that structure of like 3 beats, a group game, whatever, but taking kind of more ownership of it. So he would whatever have you make it up. So you'd be like, our opening is like this, we go into the audience and we pose like statues, and then like one person does this, or like whatever. It sounds absurd, but it's it was just really interesting because
it doesn't sound absurd. It sounds very interesting. So it's kind of like like make your own take on the Herald. So it's like, oh, we're a Herald, but like it's always noir, or like it's like always genre. It's
exactly,
always
yeah,
one location.
yeah, exactly. So it was
that's
like
so cool.
You get to own your group games and you get to own your openings, and it's not following these books. That's why it like blew my mind coming here and being like, oh, Heralds are like, you must do these like XYZ ones that are in this book. But anyway, it was that. So level 5 is all about like perfecting your version of the Herald, and then 5B was you get a run of shows for like, I want to say 5 or 6 weeks or something, and every week you put them up in front of an audience and the Herald committee, and they would like watch your shows, and then from your shows they would be taking notes the whole time, so they can give you feedback, but they can also like pluck you and put you on Herald teams that way.
Wow. So it's like a real recruitment pool.
It's a yeah, exactly. And it's nice because they still do those auditions, like the ones that you and I have done, but it's such a nice way to get seen over the course of a number of weeks with people you've been playing with for a year.
So if you're bad at auditioning, here's like casual, because you're
exactly.
like, just
yeah, it was exactly. And I found that to be like, I mean, it didn't help me because I didn't get on a team, but it was like
no, but it's
still, I thought it was so nice. And just to be able to like end this enormous process of going through all the schooling with like a big run of shows in their big ass theater with like people really watching you was I just like the way they do it so much more than other places.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. How deep were you into your improv journey once you start taking 5A or 5B or whatever?
What do you mean deep? Like years?
Is this 2 years in?
Probably no. It was probably more than that, because
it's what's interesting to me is that like here I feel like, well, or at least with UCB, your improv like life doesn't really begin until after 401. You have to take 401, and then that's when people start exploring the NC. That's when people start auditioning and all that stuff. Versus here, it seems like you can live like a whole life. And not to say it doesn't happen here as well, but like it's much more.
I think you should. Yeah, you definitely like come into 401. Well, at least in like for me and my friends who were doing it, I feel like we were pretty good at 401 because we were performing like most nights. So I don't know how many years it was. I want to say like probably 2. I also at one point like broke my leg and I had to take a big break. So I want to say it was
someone told you break a leg, and then
I took it too literally. It's actually so devastating to me because it was while I was in conservatory right before the like class where you put together your show, and it was so upsetting because I had just done so much work with those people. But whatever, it all worked out for the best. I want to say I started taking classes.
Did they not all stop taking classes?
Yeah, you would think, right?
That's what
if
I
we were a fucking team.
I'm sorry, we've been through this together.
Yeah, I gotta have words with Gabby Boyd after this.
Hey, Gabby, check out the latest episode of the podcast. Listen to what I gotta say.
I think I took writing. I don't know. I think I took writing classes probably in like 2014, 2015, and I was probably in that improv level by like 2017, 2018 maybe. Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, and I would say like it does not sound like a lot of classes, but they seem like they pace you out really well to the point where I would say 2 years in, you are ready to be seen by the ADs or by the
and I also like had done so much other stuff where it was like I did a whole writing program, I did a whole Second City program, I was like performing on the side, and then and the whole time while I was doing IO, Lazy River Jesus, the team whose name I hated, was like doing indie shows. So I agree. I think you're pretty like out there.
So what happened after 5B? And then conservatory.
What did I do? I ended up so I finished all of those. I ended up getting on. I didn't get on a Harold team at IO, but I did get on. They had like house teams, or they had a musical improv house team, and I got on that. And that was honestly some of the most fun like improv I've ever done, because I just think musical improv is so delightful. But so I did that for a while. I think I was finishing conservatory while I did that, because the timelines are a little bit like whatever, they overlap in different ways. But so I think I was finishing conservatory. Meanwhile, I was on an IO musical team and truly just like having so much fucking fun. Meanwhile, tanking every fucking audition I went on for like Second City tour co type stuff.
What were those auditions like? Just do a Harold?
No, it was more. Oof, I'm trying to remember exactly the format. I think it was more like do scenes. I don't think I ever made it far enough to like get in to even know what like the final round auditions were. I think it was more do scenes.
Was it like a bunch of people auditioning?
Oh yeah, tons. Like everyone would audition.
Give me a number.
I don't know the numbers. I want to say like
5,000.
Oh, I think less than that. But
5.
Yeah, 5.
5 people.
It was me and 4 other people, and I did not get a second round audition. No, I have no idea. But it felt like everyone was going for that. And everyone kind of does go for it. Like it's like even like it would be so intimidating, because it'd be like I'm in the audition room with the people who I'm seeing on stage at IO who I'm revering. And it's like, well, I'm obviously not going to get it if this guy's fucking here. So it in that sense, it really did feel like truly everyone would come out for it, because it is that paid opportunity that you want. But yeah. So I was doing that for a while, and then I think I eventually got to a point where I was feeling like, because then I was also like simultaneously I would like write sketch shows and stuff like that. I would be in sketch shows. I would write sketch shows. And I think I just got to a point where I was like not super happy with my career. And then I like loved the comedy stuff, but it was just like this, it was starting to become a thing where it was like bigger than the, like, you know, and I had to just decide whether I was going to like go all in on my career or go all in on the comedy stuff. And I was like, fuck it, let's go. And then I moved to Los Angeles.
The reason why you chose LA?
I wanted to work in film and TV. Like I specifically moved out here because I really wanted to, and I still do, like want to write television. So it made sense. Also, my sister was living here, so it was honestly like I think I had an easier move than maybe other people because I had family here. But yeah, I think like the New York LA decision or whatever made
Atlanta. Don't leave out Atlanta.
And Atlanta. Sorry, Atlanta. It made less sense just based on like what I wanted to write, which was like sitcoms.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So any like closing thoughts about Chicago? Like when you left, were you like, because I mean your friends are there, your career is there, like that must have been tough.
I mean, definitely. It was like
what fueled you to like what pushed you? Because I'm sure there's so many people listening to this podcast thinking about making the big move to Los Angeles. But
because they got to come out here to be able to tell you to your face that they like it.
Yeah. So what was what was the fuel or the final, straw that?
I think just like I think I was able to I don't know how, but I was able to like let go of this idea that I needed to like get a pat on the head by, or like pushed by someone else to go do the thing I really wanted. Like I think I just was like, I'm never gonna get main stage, and that's okay. Like, I'm just simply not as good as some other people, but that doesn't mean I can't do this. So I think I just like I don't know. I think it's like sounds really like cheesy, but I think you just kind of have to like be a little brave and just like take a chance on yourself. And like I just kind of just have this like fucked up belief that I can do it,
That's not cheesy. That's not fucked up. I love that. I love that for you. All right. So you're out here staying with your sister. What's on your agenda?
My agenda is to get a damn job and then
sign up for
a little UCB class. And that second I got in that class, I said, I'm gonna look around and I'm gonna find every lady in here that seems like they would be my friend, and I'm going to hang out with them until they like me. And that's how I met my dear friend Alex Bigelow.
Yay.
And then
is that, before you jump into that, how did you pick UCB over there's IO here, there was an IO here, and there was a Second City here.
I
You just knew they were gonna shut down in a few years?
I knew they were going to shut down. I had this feeling. I was like, pandemic is coming.
Yeah.
No.
Because that's so insane that, like, you know what I mean? Like, you picked you picked the winner.
Honestly, it kind of didn't cross my mind to go to IO and second. I just felt like I'd done them, and like in my opinion, I don't know if this is true or not. UCB is like, it's UCB, and then the other ones are so much smaller. Whereas in Chicago, it's like Second City, IO are the big behemoths, and to me, it was UCB was the one. So I truly just was like, it didn't. I was always going to go to UCB if I was going to take a improv class somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. Is that unusual? I feel like
no. I'm just always curious, especially when people have done Second City before. That's or has, like, they moved from Chicago. That's the one that always, like, blows my mind. Like, this has been a pattern. Like, Sean did Second City, and then he came out and did UCB. Anza came out here for did Second City, and like, that's why it's like, you didn't consider taking a class, and it seems like your answer is what's consistent with a lot of people's answers.
I think you hear a lot about UCB, and so it's yeah, to me, it's like what you go to do. So yeah, you don't hear about Second City Hollywood. Like, if anything, coming from Chicago, I think it'd be like, it didn't feel like a growth opportunity. It felt like a strange sidestep. I don't know.
Yes. All right, so you met Alex Bigelow. Love, that's amazing.
My girly.
Yeah. How are you taking to game and taking to this new style?
I find it so much harder and stranger, but I like it. I think it's fun. But yeah, I kind of didn't expect it to be like, I realized I had never really pulled premise like that. Like, I think even in Chicago when I was doing Harold's, they were more organic. So I was really, I mean, it was fun and interesting, but it was definitely more game oriented than I had realized. Like, I didn't realize that was kind of like the gag. So I think I like picked up on it okay, but it definitely like isn't in my nature because it's just not how I like learned it, you know?
Yeah. And then, you know, I that's the thing that's like tough. People that I've met and people that I know, like, the longer they've done improv elsewhere, the harder it is to adjust to UCB. Versus these kids out here, they start off UCB 101, all of a sudden they're natural and they're good. How dare you? So how long did it take you to get through those courses?
I don't know, a couple months. I think I powered through. I started in level like 3 or something, so it wasn't that crazy.
Okay, test out of it.
Or maybe started in 2, but it was like I only took like 3 classes, if that makes sense. So it really wasn't like, and I was pretty committed to doing them all because I also think I came from this place in which you did them all back to back to back, not realizing that nobody does that here. So I took them all back to back.
And you mentioned before making friends and making teams. How'd you find that out here? How'd you find that experience?
It's much more challenging, I think, to figure out what to do, just because there's not like, I mean, I don't know. Now it's easier for me to like say just because I know people, but I wasn't really clear, like, where do you go? Like, what are the indies like shows? How do you submit yourself for them?
Was it more clear at the Conservatory?
You're cracking me up. Conservatory is truly like, that's like saying like the moving arts. Like, it's just like a black box. But I think
and I'm in love with it. Are they still open?
I think so.
I'm gonna chart a flight to a trip.
They always had like weird set deck up that was of corn.
Yeah, but like it was like, I would agree it's hard to navigate out here, but I guess the question is, isn't it equally hard in Chicago?
Yeah, I honestly don't know why it felt easier to me. I think like
maybe you had like more resources, or, you know.
Yeah, I think there was like, honestly, just like a bigger, more accessible community, and so it was a little easier to meet people, to introduce you to other people. Like,
it is fucking hard out here to meet
I think LA is a tough city because it's also so spread. Chicago's so much smaller, and so, and like geographically, those theaters are down the street from each other, so it's really normal to go to Second City and then like go across the street to the bar, and it's just like loaded with people. Like, IO is literally built on a bar. So we would go and hang out in the beer garden. So I just think it's a lot more social. And I guess that's not necessarily like indie, but it felt indie to me because we weren't on like house teams or anything. But it definitely, like, the improv scene it felt pretty social.
Yeah.
So it was I don't know. It was just a little easier, I think. Maybe we were also like thirstier for it, but it was hard to know where to start here.
So
And
how
I
did
just
you
think there's
start?
less. I just think there's less. Like I think there's just fewer shows that are booking and will like book a class show, like class team to do it.
Yeah.
I think that there's just way more stage time opportunities in Chicago. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
So how did you get your start after
Here?
finishing those classes? Yeah.
You
start making practice groups. You start making teams.
To
Improv with Alex.
Yeah. Well, I was on a team with like a group of gals from my UCB classes. And then from that, me and Alex ended up taking improv classes. And then that's how we started playing on our team was called Springfield Tornadoes. And so we were like a residency team at for a while. And we would do a bunch of like indie shows there. And then I started doing like these kind of like variety sketch shows with Alex and our friend Anna Bitzaler and our friends the Moriello twins, Thomas and Michael. So it's just like, and then I met all those people at and then at some point in like 2021 ish, Shag got formed too. So yeah, I ended up meeting like a lot of the like people I play with and like create with through
You think jumping into you started that like in 2019?
Probably.
Like you think like because it's like smaller, more filtered, it's not like it's like more consistent, I guess, or
what do you mean compared to what?
Compared to like UCB or the clubhouse, like it's like a much wider net, you know? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, did this feel more like did starting or doing feel like a little bit more like your Chicago days?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that's just because it was like we were on our feet a lot more. And then finally I was like doing indie shows 5 nights a week, you know, which felt familiar to me. And then also we would go to these shows, which was a new experience. That wasn't an experience I had in Chicago at all. But we would go to shows and then afterwards would like hang out at the bar, and then being able to like socially get to know a bunch more indie improvisers felt very familiar as far as getting to know the indie scene in Chicago. So yeah, I would agree with that.
I want to hear about your audition. Was this your first audition or you auditioned before?
For Harold Night?
For UCB, yeah. I know you've auditioned at other places.
I think it was my second Harold Night audition at UCB. And my first one went terribly, like meaning years ago it went terribly. In the classic way in which I eat shit in auditions. And then this one I went in a little truly trying my hardest to be mindful of like how do I think about it? I think I was like trying really hard this time to not worry about being funny and really just trying to like fucking listen and stay present and respond in a way that made sense for the moment instead of, because the way in which I think I just ruin auditions is by kind of hanging on the back line for a little too long to the point where I start to feel like itchy, like I'm not out there enough. And then I'm worried that everyone's getting these laughs and I haven't done anything yet. And then I'll go out and just take a huge fucking swing and it sucks. And it's just like, and I went in super mindful this time of just like, don't like try to like panic and be funny. Just really, really try your hardest to like experience this audition like a show. And for me, the best shows are when I'm like just having fun and I'm really trying to like connect. So it's like, as much as I can make this fun, like feel fun, like a show, the better. And I think that really helped. I don't think I like crushed the audition, but I think I like stayed calm and whatever. And I'm like, and I was able to kind of show more of like skill and sensibility than than I would have if I had just gone and tried to do something really funny.
That's like very disciplined and very like, like taking takes a lot of like introspection or a lot of reflection. Did is that something you had been working on like in the past 3 years?
Yeah, I think so. I think that
Like different coaches that are like, hey.
No, I never had not really. I don't know. I don't want to
You just knew
sound
in your
dramatic, but
bones?
like I don't think that like I think I feel when I do that and I don't like it. Like I'm like because I don't like watching it either, and that like when you're like you're that feeling of like I haven't I haven't been out yet and blah blah blah. Like I really don't get that nervous when I do improv unless I'm hanging on the back line for too long and then I'm like uh-oh bitch, like now when you get out there you better fucking get it. And so I think I was just trying to like say anything to myself that was gonna like help not put myself in that like headspace, and I think a friend of mine also was auditioning with me and who said the thing of just like let's just make this feel like a show, let's have fun. And I was like that is so smart. So yeah, I don't know, I think it was helpful. I don't know if it's like helpful for other people, but I was like, oh, it's kind of like was like a game changer for me.
Yeah. That sounds great though. Like whatever you did, I do feel like and talking to people about their experience with like auditioning and getting the one, there's no like magic secret sauce. It's just like when you're ready, you're ready. And it sounds like in this case, you were just like, I'm ready to do
Yeah, I guess
chill
I was
improv.
truly so surprised to get the call that I got on Harold Night because I was like, I think I did passably fine. Like I was like, I think I did like what I wanted to do, which was like I had fun. I like kept like a scene going and like blah blah blah, but I don't feel like I got like belly laughs in there, And so I really was like, all right, well, that like whatever. So I was, yeah, I don't know. I was surprised, but I do think that like maybe auditors like respond to like seeing like avoiding not like giving into that base instinct to like
Yeah.
panic, make someone laugh. Like
But I think that's what they're weeding out for. I think maybe is like
yeah,
panickers or
yeah, total. I definitely think so.
I haven't got a laugh yet. I know.
Yeah. And like I truly have done like I feel like I've done that in so many auditions where I've like been like, okay, I'm gonna like scream something crazy, and then it plays to silence, and I'm like, that was unfortunate. Like
What would you screen him? Anything
oh
crazy?
gosh, I don't know. I can't remember, but I can think of at least two different auditions where like I've stepped out and I was going for like kind of like big emotional reaction because I do kind of do that sometimes, but um it just didn't play and it was so forced in a way that it was like it wasn't like this like thing that made sense in the moment and was like true to any type of character. It was just me like being like, well, if I do something enormous right now, they'll see that I am a comedian.
Yeah, comedy is volume,
Yeah,
baby.
exactly.
All right, well, let's end it here with this. It is October 2023. We're talking to the future a little bit, but it is well, they just published those Lloyd teams. Some people audition, some people
Yeah, congrats to everyone.
Congrats everybody. But what would you want to say to some of the folks since you've been on audition, trooper this whole time? What do you have to say to the folks that didn't get on this time?
I say like I think that like it's so easy to like think that it's like an indicator of you as being like good or bad. And I think like as hard as it is to try to like just like engage in that thought for like a minute and then just like let it fucking go and just move, like keep moving, because I think there's always going to be more auditions and you can do it again. But I think like if you get too bogged down in like the disappointment of it all, or even like the pleasure of it all, but like more so the disappointment, obviously, it's just like it doesn't like serve you. And there's so many reasons why people get chosen or not chosen. Like sometimes I feel like it's about like the makeup of the teams. It's not about like these are like the 20 funniest people who auditioned. It's about like what type of skills they can do and how to make like 10 people fit together, however many people are on these teams. But like
you lost count.
Lost count. I'm so stupid. But yeah, I don't know. I think like as hard as it is, I think like engage in like the disappointment for like a period of time and then like try to just let it go. Like really dig into the pain and then absolve yourself of it, because it's like it ultimately means nothing and you can audition again, and like it's rarely about like you not being like worthy, and it's more about like other things and dynamics that people are thinking of.
Awesome. Great. Well, great advice. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And thanks so much for telling us about your improv journey. The segment's Improster Syndrome. You didn't
Okay,
tell us
love.
that. Let's go ahead and jump into our next segment now, which is going to be our topic of the week. This is a topic that I'm really excited to talk to you about, because as a big fan of Shag, this is something that you all do very well. I've also seen Keanu pull this off very well, but I feel like overall you're a group group game expert. Would you? How do you feel about that honorific?
I don't think I'm an expert. I do like doing group games
Mhm.
and group scenes. So
They always make me very apprehensive. I like a good old fashioned 2-person scene. I mean, look, I'll do a group game if I have to, but I feel much more comfortable. Like, let me tell you one person and then everyone jump in.
yeah.
But Shag, is it intentional that y'all jump in initially?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's intentional.
Yeah. We're doing a
Regardless.
group scene at the top for sure. And we're also like kind of blending a little bit where it's like it's not intentionally, it's not supposed to be scenic. It's supposed to feel a little more group gamey. Which I think there's like, yeah, I don't know. I imagine that I I don't think I speak for everyone, but I personally really like starting with a big group scene like that. For me, it's part of like what we were talking about, like auditioning and getting nervous on the back line. For me, I find it so refreshing to just get out there right fucking away, do something big, and then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
my like jitters are out and let's fucking go. Like
Everyone gets in, everyone gets their laugh, no
yeah,
one's itchy anymore.
I find it personally really helpful. I don't know if everyone does, but I at least like doing like just going big in a group game for sure.
I'm just picturing poor Mai. I was gonna wait until the second scene to step out. You're forcing me on. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and start. I think this is an important distinction. This is like a very UCB distinction: group game versus group scene. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, I don't have like an opinion. In my mind, a group game is where we're doing just a game. Like it's not scenic. We're not following like a character or a thought, and we're not like playing. Well, maybe there's beats of it, but we are not following like this one particular thread. It's just kind of like pops of color. And then I think in my mind, when I'm saying group scene, I'm just talking about a scene with multiple people in it.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with that. I think that that's a. I don't know how people are teaching it. I know how certain coaches might have taught it and make that distinction where, yeah, sometimes, and group games, I feel like also so specific to the Herald, and there's a specific way to play it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you mentioned with group scenes, I feel like that's much more natural. That's probably what people are used to doing and used to seeing.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing, maybe the big distinction I would notice that I think when you look at group game versus group scenes are, I think in a group game, everybody plays the same game.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to peas in a pod.
We're not trying to voice of reason
There's
it.
very little, if any, voices of reason, because it's just, one behavior or one, pattern that we're all exhibiting.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I like a group game. I find that like for me, I mean, I don't know. I don't always love them, but I like that is one thing I do like about a Herald is that there's these group games that give you kind of just like a palate cleanser too. I feel like when I'm doing shows, I'm always thinking about the like textures of it, and I'm like, we've done 4 2-person relationship scenes in a row. Like we got to switch this shit up. And even if it's just like 2 people step out and I'll also join them and now we're doing a 3-person scene, I'm like, that's giving me a little variety. Like I get bothered when I see like just 2-person scenes over and over again, and I think it's just how like I think certain whatever people teach it that way too. And so I think I'm just like I don't know, I'm very aware when I'm like, are we just putting up a show that's just 2 people, 2 people, 2 people, 2 people? Like let's change it up, baby. Let's make some levels.
Yeah, let's see some variety. Let's see some differences. So definitely, yeah, adding in group scenes or group games. Spice of life, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So Let's start off by talking about group games. The more rigid one, or I guess the more like I don't know if it's rigid, but there's definitely shockingly, I think, a lot more structure in group games than there are in group scenes.
I can see that. Yeah, it's kind of like it's free form and like ambiguous, but there's like a point to it where you're trying to like all glom on, all evolve, and
Yes.
then end, you know?
Yeah. And like that's I think I guess where I'd like to start is actually with that second person. I think when it comes to initiations for group games, I don't hot take maybe. I don't think it matters. Do whatever
No,
you want.
I completely
They
agree.
have like they break it down with like one person verbal, one person nonverbal, all at once verbal, all at once nonverbal. Who cares? Come in there and fart. That's an initiation, right? But I think what it comes down to is that second person.
Yeah.
I think they really set what's happening. And I swear, if that person walks on, it's just like, hey, did you fart? That's weird. Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
That I totally agree. I'm a big, if I know that that's what we're doing is like group scene,
Yeah. A good
group
game.
game rather, like I'm like match.
Yeah,
Like
fart louder.
yeah.
Or fart from your mouth.
Yeah. Like
AKA a burp.
I agree. The minute you try to like rationalize it or like I don't know, judge it or whatever, it becomes really hard to balance because then it's like okay, like it's like I agree. I think the second move is like I think the second move and then also the third move obviously, but I think
And also
they're
the fourth
really
move.
and also the fifth.
Also six, actually.
Yeah, and then whoever edits. Yeah, I agree. I think that
But
move
like
is
that,
like critical
yeah.
because the first move I don't give a shit. Throw it away. Who cares? But
Yeah.
like I think you're deciding in that second move like what the pattern is, and then the third move is like
Yeah.
making it a game, you know?
And like I forgot which coach taught me this, but I really like it and I try to embody it, but it's hard to get everybody on the same page. But his thing was like, hey, let's not label, let's not rationalize, let's not, call anything out until everyone's touched it once. Forget who that was, So if it is like that fart, it's like, yeah, let's get all 8 of us farting. And then we can be like, well, this chili contest is gonna be hard to judge. Right. But at least then everybody like got a chance to do it. But like I have noticed, and I've even been part of it. Sometimes it's like fart, 3 farts, and the fourth person comes out. But then it leaves the other 4 like,
Yeah.
I didn't get the
How do we
4.
get in on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like yeah, that's interesting because I think it's like it's like you're conflating the two because I can understand if you're doing like a group scene, and you were like, there's been 3 rule of threes. Now we do this, but it's like, but if we're doing a game, you've now broken it, you know? Yeah, I think that's a good attitude to have. I think I feel the same way. I don't know that have been actively thinking about it like that, but I do agree with that where there's something kind of like then I'm stuck on the back line and I'm like, well, how am I gonna get in at all? Like who do I join? Like I don't want to like negate what you just said, but also it didn't help, you know?
And you'll figure it out, but I think it's just it's gonna make that 5th person pause.
Yeah.
Whereas if they didn't make that move, there's no thought, just fart more.
Yeah.
Or fart different. Or fart sexy. I don't know. Like that's what's so great about like, you're kind of like pre-built in, just do what just happened.
Yeah.
The other thing I really think about, it makes you think of like, ooh, this might get too serious, but like it's like, were you fun as a kid?
That's so real.
Were you fun?
Yeah, let us have some fucking fun.
Yeah, like if someone just comes out and be like, oh, this dinosaur is so big, just run out and be like, and this dinosaur is so big. But if you're just like, dinosaurs are extinct, they've been around for 88 million years, I'm like,
yeah,
you're not coming to my birthday party, Jordan.
We're all making crazy shit up here. Yeah, I feel that. I think that there's something. I think I think group games are really hard because they're humiliating. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I think, and it's like it's not humiliating if we all go all in and we tell the audience this fucking rules. But if you're telling the audience like actually this sucks, it's gonna suck, and then we all feel like shit. But I think like it can be really hard to just lean into the like craziness of it and the like, especially if it's something that's like physical or weird, you know. I think like especially if your brain is more like analytical and less like like clowny, you know.
Yeah.
I think it can be really hard to join in, and that feels like an easy way to get in or something, and it's like, or a more natural way to get in, and it, even though it, I agree, it's like stopping the fun.
I think you're right. Like, I like the way the word you use. It is so humiliating and it is very unnatural, but like that's kind of what you have to like lean into and like
Yeah,
lean into like the
I took this class
shameness.
that, like, okay, when I was at IO, level, I want to say 3 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
was about group scenes and physicality. And it was kind of the most like incredible class, where it was just, it was taught by this woman, Susan Messing, who's this like iconic kind of like wild and crazy lady. But I like love her, but she was very like, the whole point was to truly fucking humiliate yourself. Like, she'd be like, have you roll around like a worm, and she'd like yell at you to be more worm like. But it honestly was kind of like, it was the kind of thing where when you start, it's so embarrassing, because
Yeah.
you're just moving your body in these ways that, and people are just watching you, and you're like, by your, maybe it's you and one other person or something, just doing this in front of a whole class being judged, and you feel so dumb. But then by the end, once you realize like the potential of like, if we all do it, it's like the biggest laughs you've ever had, you know. And
Yeah.
then I think that really like helped me at least unlock like connecting with my body, at least on stage, where like I don't stress about it as like, I think it's so fun, but I think it's really hard. And that class
Yeah.
really helped me, because I do like, like viscerally remember feeling so humiliated doing group scenes like those first couple whatever times or classes, and then by the end of it being like, oh, the more I'm like a fucking freak, if these other people have my back like 1,000%, it's gonna pay off tenfold, you know.
Mm-hmm. And after having done that class, do you get humiliated easily now?
No, I think it's helped me so
Yeah.
much. Like, I truly think that like I'm like very, I can't even really think, I'm like rarely embarrassed doing improv, because I'm just like,
Because
I
you've kind of
feel,
seen the worst of it. You felt the worst
yeah,
of it.
I've felt so bad doing it before, and I've also like, I think I can own that, like, if I really commit to what I'm doing, like this is gonna fucking work. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Yeah, I think it just like truly like, it was one of those, it was immersive therapy of like truly just doing like the most like humiliating improv, and then being like, okay, great.
I definitely think stuff like that, like shame or humiliation, I think that stuff you can get desensitized to.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like that's the thing that's like really tough about like people that come here like to move to LA to be actors and to be, you know, movie stars, and they're like, I got to be embarrassed. No, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. If I was gonna be
Yeah,
embarrassed,
I'm supposed
I
to
would
look,
have stayed at home. I would have married my high
yeah,
school
like I'm
sweetheart.
too hot and cool for this.
Yeah. Versus like, I don't know. I used to get humiliated daily in school on my own accord. I used to like try to make jokes and no one would laugh. Be like, okay, you think you ate shit and you were at audition? Try eating lunch with me in high school. But because of that, now, yeah, like, you know, you kind of do need to like have like that like no shame feeling of like, if your teammate comes out there and just, you know, starts dancing and you can't dance, come out there and do your little bad dance too,
Yeah.
you know?
If you're like out there like for like, I just think it shows from so far away, like if you're like not really having someone's back out there or something like that. Like, so I think like, you please don't hit the mic.
I'm I gotta
Please.
edit that out. Everyone's gonna hear oh geez, my ears are bleeding.
They're gonna let you know. Anyway, yeah, I think it reads from the audience if you're not going all in with your scene partners. So I think it's just like a disservice to like your scene and your team if you're being, if you're like judging what's happening, which I understand that it just like, it just is how
Yeah.
people are, but I don't think it's like helpful.
Yeah, and I get one more thing I want to talk about, unless you had more stuff to talk about, but like one more thing about the group game is it takes a lot of trust, takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of practice. People think that they don't practice. Like, I don't know. I think it's so funny when people like drill like second beats or drill like whatever. I'm like, dude, drill a group game, because that is hard, and people I don't think get enough reps doing it, or get enough like notes doing it,
Yeah.
which is like you meant like, and that's why they don't trust each other, because like I think that's ultimately like if I'm saying like you don't want to go out there, you know, what dance, it's not a reflection on you. I think it's well, it is a reflection on your inability to trust your teammates, that they are gonna do be a goofy goof like with you too, or maybe if you are all gonna do it, like don't worry, someone's gonna have a label, someone's gonna have something.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be stuck there dancing or farting for too long,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think like especially ones that are just like a physical movement or something like that, because those can be really dicey. Like I just did a Harold that was like that, where we all like were doing this like weird physicality, and it took so long to label it, and I could feel everyone kind of bailing, and then I myself started to bail, and then I was just like, this doesn't feel good. But like had everyone gone out and done it, it would have been I think we could have been okay. But it was just like we all kind of started to like we all started it by the front of the stage, and by the end we were like up against the back wall. I'm like, we are really bailing on this.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to just like I don't often initiate with like just something physical. I feel like if anything, I'm like my like hack for it is to make it like an emotional thing. I feel like that's like so much more fun and easy to just like make some sort of weird emotional choice. I don't know.
No, for sure, because I think people can glob onto that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I would assume like they can glob onto that better.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it easier, but yeah, group games are weird. It's trial and error. Like it's just you have to be willing for it to like flop, and that's like part of the fun is just like throwing something up and seeing what fucking happens.
Yeah. And yeah, you're doing it with 7 other people, so I think that's like take solace in that.
Yeah.
We're laughing at all you. Don't worry, we're not just laughing at Stephanie.
Yeah.
We're laughing at the whole team.
Totally.
All right, let's talk about group scenes now. Different because it's not going to be like this. You're not supposed to all fart. When one person farts, you got to call it out. I think these are going to resemble much more what we're used to in improv scenes, which is to like isolate base reality, and then unusual, and then the unusuals will like highlight the base reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I think you could do it.
I don't do too many.
A number of ways.
How would you say y'all's Shag's approach, if y'all have ever worked on it or drilled it? Or
we don't drill a ton of like we drill like our opening a decent amount, but we don't treat it like a group game like that, or a group scene like that. We treat it more like we don't ever worry about base reality. And honestly, like I think most of the times when we like start to then be like, we start with some big phrase or whatever, like I think once we start to then sometimes it helps to like place us in a location and contextualize, and then it's like extra level of funny, and then it gives us more ideas. But sometimes if we're like grounding us too hard, it kind of sucks the air out of it for us. So but I think that's just because we're doing kind of more of a group game. But
well, y'all do like a really good job of like walking in, because y'all don't speak all at once. Y'all want to, it's like a little, I'm not a musician, but what's it called? It's like y'all become a chord.
Yeah. I that's cool. I think that's like for me ideal, because I do find that to be a very difficult thing with balancing multiple voices on stage when everyone's funny and everyone's talented and we all have ideas, to be able to kind of patiently play and listen for like one, making sure everyone's kind of gets to be an active part of this, but also like really listening for when is the right time to make this comment or whatever, like keeping up with the just like cadence of the like the musicality of it,
To me, it's like improv. When I see y'all do your opening scenes or your group scenes, like it's like improv in its purest form, which is just like any old sentence, any old feeling, any old space work, and then someone yes ands it, another person yes ands it, and then by the end of it, their crescendo was what I was thinking about.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
It's nice to look crescendo. It's like, oh, so it's like, wow, they're at a cocktail party. I did not see that in the beginning, but by move 5, it's a cocktail party, and it's a fun one at that.
I find that for us, it's the best times too are when we really like yes it too. Like it's like if you make it so no one's a freak, like we're not judging, or like our characters aren't judging it, we all completely agree, feel the same way and more, then it's becomes this like very joyful thing too. I think when it's like and sometimes it works where we'll single out one person, and it's typically like Isabella or something. We'll like single out Isabella to be like, what we all said made perfect sense, and what you said was dog shit. And that's funny. But when it's too immediate, where it's like the first person says something and the second move is like, that's weird. It's like really hard, I think, for us to pick up that momentum and find that crescendo. But it works really well when we all just really positively agree with what the person says, is like, what you've just said is like correct and true, and we also feel that way. I think it's really easy to like get that lift that you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree, and that's something that y'all have done successfully so much. I hope you don't mind. You mind if I bring an example, a concrete example?
No, go for it.
This just came to mind, but this was at the last Shag show. Y'all were, and help me if I'm wrong here, like high schoolers doing like a writer's room, and then y'all were like TV writers, and you're like, to me it felt like a high school is playing TV writers, like you're the showrunner and I'm the assistant, blah blah. And then y'all just did a great job of like one at a time, just black sheeping one person, and making them and
I remember I like left the stage. I like was backstage for most of it.
You got kicked out first, I believe.
I think it's like,
and like that, but like the cadence of that, the musicality of it, like the verse and then the chorus of it was so good. It was just so like pitch perfect, and I was just like, I know it's coming, but it's coming in a different way and in a fun way, and in a way that I like, do it now, kick her out, you know.
Yeah, totally. I love scenes where we all get in. I think like I'm like, I love like the 2-person scenes we do and like the little runs, but I'm always just like waiting till we get back to our big group scenes. I think they're the most fun. But yeah, I agree. I think there's something to like the patience of it, and not like speaking to say something funny, but speaking when it's like a math equation. You know what I mean?
And did y'all drill that, or how did y'all land on that? Or you think that's just like y'all have natural, like similar instincts?
I probably all have like a shared like sensibility for it, but I mean, we definitely drilled it, but I don't think we like, I kind of don't think we force it too much. Like, I think we kind of let it be in a good way. Like, we don't like drill it to death to the point where we're now dissecting it and we're like confusing ourselves with it. Because I do think that like the reason we do our form that way is because that's just how we started doing it. And then we were like, we just kept doing it. Like, genuinely, I think from our very first practice, very first show, we've been doing it that way, just because that's just how we were just like laughing our dicks off in practice, like laughing at each other. And I think for us, we all just like, we want to play with each other. And we just like, I think it's that thing of like, don't you want to play? It's like we all just want to play with each other. And I think that's why we all like really make a point of doing like that group scene in the beginning, or like a group game, whatever, in the beginning, group scene in the middle, whatever, try to get back to like, I think we all just think it's really fun when we're all in.
And you're like, yeah, you're not like, no one's trying to be the star, no one's trying to take the lead or whatever. It's again, it's like very classic improv. I see y'all like, if something changes, y'all kind of release what was just happening and move on to the new thing.
Yeah, I think that's the fun part about
Cocktail
it too.
party, all of a sudden a gorilla shows up. Now it's about the gorilla.
Yeah, I think like we're all pretty game to just like follow what happens and see where it goes, without like making it too plotty, you know.
One other thing I want to talk about, last thing about this topic, is just the idea of like premise versus organic when it comes to group scenes or group games. Like that's like, to me, like it's like a quadrant, you know. You have group games and you have group scenes, but you also have organic group games and organic group scenes, or whatever, or sorry, premise, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Look at the visual.
I can't see anything on the screen.
Look,
but I'm getting the visual in front of me, so I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, there's I'm not gonna explain it. It's an audio form, anyways, guys. There's 2 dimensions. One is group game, group scene, and the other one is organic and premise. All right. I think most people will have experience with organic. I think most people out there are doing a lot of organic. So I wanted to first speak to this. And, contrary to kind of what we were saying before about like not deflating or not like degassing. I do think in organic group scenes and group games, you do need to have a voice of reason, because someone needs to point out what's going on. I don't think they should come first or second or third, maybe not even not until like the last. But I do think that at some point someone needs to be like, we were supposed to be,
Yeah, I think
fundraising for the election, but
I
now
think it
there's a
depends.
gorilla.
I can see it depending on like if you're talking about a group game versus a scene. Like I think if it's a scene, it could start like as like theoretically two people and then everyone joins and they like they clone one of the
That's
other,
true.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think
but I think it's imperative to have that voice reason.
Yeah.
Because once they say that label, once they frame it, that gives everyone in the back like, oh, now we know what we're doing.
I do think that's like a key differentiator between the game versus scene, right? Like game doesn't need a voice of reason, but a scene does.
And I see so many people not doing it, and you can have more than one, to be honest. Like I'm thinking about like mono scenes, where it is going to be a mono scene. Everyone's going to be in there and everyone's going to be weird at some point, but then that also means that like there is the recognition of like, oh, well, since now you're making your game move, I need to now drop my thing and start like voice reasoning for you and being like, hey, sorry I came in hot earlier, but you're kind of,
I find that like weird. Yeah, I think that it's like, I also think that like for me, when I'm thinking about having to like drop my game to focus on someone else's like strange behavior, I think that's like good, but also when there's a bunch of you on stage, it's good to still like remember what your thing is, because you can be like doing so much micro shit like silently, either like doing space work where you're like my character is getting fucked up in the corner, and like we don't ever have to address what I'm doing, but I'm not like standing there like statically like just looking back and forth between like the people who are talking,
yeah, you're still in it.
Yeah, and so I think it's like helpful to be like to like know that like my character has like a thing about them where it's like either just like an attitude or like or I don't know, or a want or something like that. That's like I don't necessarily have to like bring it up, but I think it's like helpful to like have something for yourself but be willing to like drop it to like, because like a normal person can like have their own wants but still can like talk about other people. Like I think it's tough when you start like pushing your agenda in a group scene, and I find it like not only like tough to like play with, but it's like tough to watch. Like it's like you have to be willing to like I think it's good to know what your game is, but to also be like ready to let it go, like, or like let other people's stuff take more weight than yours and like not be like offended by that,
Yeah. I agree. I think when I'm not watching a Shag show and I'm watching some other group scenes, sometimes it is like a little bit competitive, or it's just like, oh, this person really wanted to do the thing and now they're not letting,
and they can't let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just a few minutes ago, I was about to tap dance. Maybe now's a good time for me to tap dance.
Yeah, I'll just tap dance my way to the hospital to pick up your baby because I'm wearing tap shoes.
No, there's no baby. I am gonna tap dance now. The baby's just fine. I'm gonna tap dance now. Totally agree. And yeah, so that's again for organic, and yeah, the more people you have in a scene, just like the more juggling there is gonna be.
Yeah, I think it's
which is why it's like a separate a skill you got to practice and you got to work on.
And particularly with organic, when it's like we're all like uncovering shit as we're going, I think like the patience or whatever, and like just being mindful of like your timing and your pacing and whatever is like extra important.
Yeah. And then for premise, my big thing for premise and group scenes and everything, I think you can all have a good old fun time doing whatever you want, as long as and this is maybe true for almost all premise scenes, just get that first line, just explain everything that you thought was gonna happen.
Feel that. Are you talking about scenes that are like, everybody get in here, there's been a break-in at BuzzFeed? Like, are you talking about like those kind of
but not necessarily. It doesn't have to be like a group. This doesn't necessarily need to be within a Herald, because it could be second beats, but it could also just be like a montage, but somebody, exactly. Hey everybody, like if it's a premise that was pulled from a living room or from some other opening, hey everybody, this is Zales. There was a break-in. Everybody turn out your purses so we can see if you stole the diamonds.
Yeah.
And because you got it all out there, everybody knows who they are, what they're supposed to do, and then we're all gonna.
I totally agree. I think that makes so much sense, because then I feel like it's so much fun to play as like a person who's in that scene who didn't initiate, to be like, okay, cool, like my only objective here is to just like fuck with them, like,
Yes.
and then it's just like make it fun.
Yeah, and like I get how sometimes maybe it's fun, or some people like enjoy the coyness of a two-person scene, because you do have time to like
Breathe,
negotiate,
yeah,
dance,
totally.
what's going on here? But if you're like, hey, everybody get in here, it's like every line is crucial, and any line could possibly like veer things a little bit away from it.
Yeah.
So unless you don't care, if you really don't care about your idea getting out, then yeah, go ahead, be vague. But if you really want to play the let's all turn out our purses and see what's in our weird purses game, you got to make it clear. You got to say a whole paragraph, and then sit back and let everybody have fun.
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's like, I think with like UCB premise type stuff, it's like that makes sense to be like, everybody, like if you want to play the turn out your purses game, whatever, say it right. But I also think there's something to be said about like your improv is a team sport, and it's also like all you have control over is that first word, and then how that's taken is like not your fucking choice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you said that to me and then like my reaction was something that like doesn't give you what you want, like you don't get to keep pushing your agenda, like, you know what I mean? You have to also work with what you get in response to. I just think it's interesting because it's like I feel like UCB, they like teach you that's like no, the protocol is like they say that and then you play their game. But also I'm like, there also is a version of it in which like you don't get to decide what the game is.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like all you've said is we're emptying purses. That doesn't fucking mean you're gonna see my purse. Like,
That's very true. Yeah, it could just be like, hey,
yeah,
we all work here so hard. I don't want you invading my privacy.
Yeah,
no.
Eat shit, detective. Like,
yeah. And that's also fun. That's also valid.
Yeah.
But then again, like, yeah, it all comes down like that means everybody else has to say no.
Yeah, totally. It's just
don't
like
you just be like, Stephanie, it's pretty obvious you stole the bracelet.
And then everybody else turns out their purses.
Yeah,
and
they'll
like...
turn on you. Yeah, I have nothing to hide, and then all of a sudden it becomes the Stephanie's a thief game.
Yeah, improv is a funny thing. It can be so many things.
Yeah, but that's why we love it. Any other thoughts about well, first of all, you like my little quadrant?
I'm obsessed with the quadrant.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to publish a little chart for everybody. Any other thoughts about group scenes and group games?
No.
From the maestra herself?
No. I say have fun, keep it loose.
Have fun, keep it loose.
Have fun, keep it loose, but also listen, bitch.
And also,
okay, that actually I didn't say that.
We'll edit that out. That was my mouth fart. All right, great. Well, thanks so much for talking to us through this topic. Something that again I've seen you do very well, and hopefully now y'all are gonna be able to do it really well too. One last segment is going to be
our hot improv takes.
Our opportunity to talk about a pattern that we've been seeing, a trend in improv we want to see more of, see less of, or it's fine as Danny want to keep it right where it is. Did you want to start?
Seems like such a hot take that my hot take is keep it how it is. Okay, I've got one. No, I don't.
I can go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Hot improv take. Stop telling people not to laugh in an improv scene. Like, don't call it out. Like, let's say we're doing a scene and you're breaking. I was like, it's not funny. Stop laughing. Don't do that. Just let them laugh because you know why they're laughing. They're laughing because you're being funny. You're having a fun, silly time. And when you call it out, now you have to like justify it. It's like, I'm not laughing, I'm crying, or like, I'm sorry. It's so laughable how wrong you are. Just let me laugh. And this is coming from someone. This is a hot take coming from someone who breaks in almost every scene I'm in. Don't call me out because I'm just gonna laugh harder. And it is gonna. I'm just telling you right now, it'll break the scene if you call me out for laughing. This is not gonna stop. It's gonna keep going, and then the game becomes this dude's laughing. That's my hot improv take.
Okay, that's a great hot take.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I feel like a piece of that is that you don't.
It's a personal.
Is that you feel like you're being yelled at or something?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what it feels like. Hey, I thought we were friends.
Yeah. What the hell?
But I have seen, you've seen really good shows where like they end up pulling off really well. But we're talking serious dramatic actors where it's like, hey, are you laughing at me? And then they like play it off like I am laughing at you because you know what? You're not who I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's great. And that's beautiful. And that's fine. And that's their art and that's their work. Again, this is a very focal. This is focused mainly on me.
I'm breaking constantly, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
But that's so funny. I did a scene recently with this girl, and we were like, for some reason, she said something. It wasn't even that funny, but the two of us looked at each other and we started laughing so fucking hard. And it was just the two of us, like we were in like a workshop type thing. So it was just the two of us, and we started laughing so hard that like neither of us could speak. And it was so crazy the way we were laughing that like it had to be part of it. And that made it even funnier because it was like, oh my God, I don't know. There's something I find it. I know that it's like not cool to break, but I think it's so funny. Like I think it's so fun to like be so charmed and delighted that you're like laughing.
You know what? Okay. I love that moment and I love that happened. And I will say this, the caveat is the person laughing can call it out. So if I did break and I started laughing, I'll be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm having an asthma attack, you know?
Yeah.
Because in that case, you both laughed and you both had to like address it, right?
Well, it's also like, it's one thing if it's like, whatever, you're just like, you break a smile, you just let it go. But if it's like, you're like truly like cackling and it's like, I could see calling it out.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
All right. Do you have your
Okay, my hot improv take is like when people edit a scene and they're doing it and they're kind of slow walking, shamefully shaking their heads like their teammates did something fucking pathetic. Yeah, was pathetic, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't kick it up to a jog and take them out like with some fucking dignity. I think it's so lame to do the slow, like it's one thing to do a walk where you're kind of like, and this is for the visual people, to do a walk and you're kind of like to indicate to everyone that was too funny to continue. But if you're just walking and your head's kind of down, like I'm like, you're selling out your fucking teammates and it sucks and I hate you.
Name their name, Stephanie.
Bleep this. I think that, I just think like, I don't like, when you're editing, I think you should just do it purposefully and like, kindly.
Yeah. And even if it is, like you mentioned, it's like, hey, look, it's improv, baby. Sometimes they're misses, sometimes they're whiffs. Fucking laugh and edit.
Yeah.
And the audience is gonna laugh at that, but at least it's like they know that like that's you trying to support them.
Take them out with some fucking mercy, you know? It's just like, it's like to get swept, because I've been in some real duds before, and it's like to get swept by someone who's walking across the stage being like, woof, it just it feels bad and it looks worse. Like I just don't think it's a good look and I don't like to see it.
And I think audiences don't like to see it either.
No, I'm talking about me as an audience member. I hate to see it. Like, it's one thing if I'm in the show and whatever, it feels bad, but I really think it looks worse.
Yes, from the audience side.
It just looks like your teammates don't like you.
Yeah. Billy Merritt had this class doing thematic stuff, and like one of his things is like your edit doesn't need to be a run. It can be a move from the show, you know? So like, if someone was discoing, like just disco through.
That's cute.
You know? Because then, like, at least it is like, yeah, this is awkward, so I'm just gonna disco through. But it's like, hey, that's a callback from an earlier beat, and also this is weird and an awkward scene. But this, like, it's almost like don't laugh at them, laugh at me. Look at how stupid I am.
Yeah,
my little disco move. For those of you that are not watching, I'm doing my little disco.
It's just
pointing.
like, just like make it like this is a
single ladies through there.
Single ladies walk. Do the single ladies. I think it's just like make it look like you're doing something semi-professional and you're just like sweeping a fucking scene, whether you're like walking or discoing, like whatever, just like do it like with intent and make it not seem like you hate your fucking teammates.
All right, serious question. You're in a scene that's dying. I'm in the back line. I'm your teammate. And I want, your misery to end. So when I edit, I walk and I fart.
I kill you.
You love it, you hate that.
I think I love it because it would be crazy to me. But that would make me laugh so hard.
I think about that so much. Like,
really?
Like that like farting in an improv scene, like genuinely, I think is so funny, but no one does it. we're all holding one in. We all have one. We always just leave it in the chamber. But like
I think if I was in the audience and I watched Glass Clown do a set and you farted in it, you purposefully farted like on command.
Yeah.
This is what I would do in the audience. This is for your visual viewers. I'd be like this.
He called it. He told me in a podcast episode he was gonna do it.
I would be so fucking shocked. I think I can't fathom. It was so funny. Randomly became like the fart guy. It's like, what's your thing? Yeah. Then we would have to have some words. But I think if you randomly did it one time one day, it'd be iconic.
So like with Glass Now, I love to do like little bits like that. Like I'm just gonna in the scene, I'm just gonna like, crawl on all fours. But they always say, David, don't do that because it distracts what's happening. And I agree. That's why I don't do it more. Because it's like if it's not on game, I can't do it. So like when am I ever gonna have a chance to ever on game fart? Never. But for an edit, there is no etiquette, right? As long as I'm editing, legally I could do anything I want.
Legally, yeah, they can't get you.
And why not save it? Yeah, save it for like a bad scene, Just do it.
Bad scene.
I'm not gonna
well, because they're
trying to one up
cheering. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
like
drown out. Oh my god. Yeah, I say go for it.
Thank you. I have your permission.
Yeah, and I really want to be there for it. I think that would be so funny.
Yeah. Guys, hidden improv secret, bodily functions. All right, last thing that we have to do, Stephanie. I want you to plug your shows. Plug.
I play with Shag, which is my all-lady team. We play like every other Friday at We Improv at the Clubhouse at 9:30. And then I'm also on a Harold team at UCB called Keanu, and we're like every other Monday at either 7 or 8:30.
And I'm sorry, did you already say when Shag Agenda is? Do you say?
Oh yeah, and then our next
Sunday?
Shag Agenda is the third Sundays of the month at 10:30 p.m. the perfect time slot.
Yeah, love it. That's a great show. Please do yourself a favor. I know it's late. Well, who cares? You're gonna be bored Monday anyways. Don't you want to wake up Monday morning with like a memories of like, oh my god, I was laughing so hard last night.
Sleep is one thing, but memories last forever.
Yeah. What are you, old and boring? No, age is just a number. You're young at heart. Watching comedy at 10:30 on a Sunday. That's fucking.
People at work are gonna be jealous.
They're like, what'd you get into last night? Like, you don't believe this. 10:30. When you asleep? Me laughing my fucking dick up. I don't have anything to plug. Well, Odyssey, unfortunately, is finito. So
rip. Well, can they come to your last show or is it too late?
It's too late. That would have happened Tuesday.
Well, think fondly of it.
Yeah. But congratulations again. Oh, you know what? I will plug the new Lloyd teams. So whoever the new Lloyd team members are, I'm pretty sure it's come out. It's been announced. Congratulations. Don't know who you are. But every other Monday night at 10 p.m. Check them out. Give them the names. We got Lazy River Jesus and we got
Ebola Skittles.
The two new Lloyd teams. Congratulations. But come watch their shows. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing.
I remembered what my other teams were called.
Yeah.
Three Little Darlas. And
is that from Little Rascals?
Yeah.
Fucking love it.
Three Little Darlas. And then oh no, what's it called? It's related to pork. That's all.
Bacon? Chassis?
Whatever. Let's call it pork.
But yeah, check out those 4 new Lloyd teams. I'm sure they're gonna be amazing and fun. And then follow at Glass Clown Improv. We got shows all throughout every single month. We perform every week, but that's the place where you'll see the shows. And I have one other show I'd like to promote. This is a scoop. This is a hot off the press. I'm going to be doing Asian AF October 17th, Tuesday at 8:30. So check that out. And Stephanie, I'm going to ask you live on camera. Do you want to do it?
Do what?
Asian AF?
Yeah.
All right, cool. You're doing it. She's doing it too now.
What?
So yeah, check us out October 17th, Tuesday.
I
And
gotta
UCB
check my
Harold.
cow.
Yeah, you can say no, but I figured it's an easy way to hook you in. But thanks again so much for coming and talk to us about improv. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is so
Yeah.
fun.
Right. Bye, everybody. Yeah, you're really doing it now.